The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Today on Alpha Sessions, we're talking to Demi Michelle. We first met Demi last year back in, I think it was around April time we spoke to you, wasn't it, Demi?
Yeah, it was. It was April.
So we're almost a year on since then. And we'd like to know what's been happening to you in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I actually have been in and out of the studio a lot, working on new music. Lots is coming this year. But aside from the album and all of the music, I actually started my own podcast, which is called Right on Track. I launched that on my birthday, May 30th last year. And that's been really fun because I get to talk to songwriters, artists, a bunch of people in the industry, and we have like very genuine conversations about anything related to songwriting and the music business. And that's just been really eye-opening for me, not only as, getting to know others in the industry, but hearing their perspectives and their stories really inspires me all the time. And so that has been awesome too. So lots with the podcast, lots with music. And yeah, I'm so excited for all that's to come this year.
I'm glad you mentioned the podcast there because I caught up with it in recent weeks. It's called Right on Track. And the first thing that struck me was the number of UK artists and people here in the UK, not just artists, but certainly a number of artists that I've interviewed as well: Becky Lawrence, Tara Henton, Joey Clarkson, Adele and Andy, and a really interesting chat with Amelia Quinn. Both of you in the past have admitted to having to overcome shyness in order to perform publicly. Was that a useful experience for you to be able to chat to someone like-minded?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, Amelia's is one of my favorite, actually. I'm glad you brought up Tara Henton as well, because I loved hers too. And honestly, I think that like I said, or like you said before, I was like super shy and more closed off. And last April, I had just started doing interviews. So I haven't really broken out of my shell yet, really. I was so nervous about it. And to be honest, I think the podcast has made me so much more open and less fearful of these things, because it's kind of like I'm making the choice. Like I'm making the choice to have these amazing guests on, talk about vulnerable and open and, some things that aren't touched on as deeply because they can be more serious conversations or more vulnerable conversations. And I think by doing that and talking to other people who feel the same way I do and go through the same things, it's made me realize that I'm not alone in feeling the way that I do. And that's given me a lot of motivation and inspiration as I continue to move forward. So 100%.
And of course, you don't just talk to, singers and performers and writers. You speak to people in the business, managers, right, agents, promoters, and you cover the whole gamut. I haven't heard the whole series, but from what I have heard, I'd say it's something that's well worth catching. I find it interesting, and I'm not pushing any music, but certainly for people starting out, I would have thought it's an excellent podcast to listen to.
Thank you.
You've also, since we last met, you've released an album, which I was aware you were working on, and we talked about last year. Tell me something about that. When did the album come out?
So the album released on October 15th, 2021. And I worked on that project for 2 years. It was supposed to come out in May 2020, but because of COVID, it got pushed, obviously. And it was really interesting doing that album because I kind of feel like I really opened up in that album, which is why it's called Dear Diary. Those songs are literally like diary entries to me. And so I explore a lot of insecurities and thoughts and feelings I have. And through doing that, I feel like I've gone on a journey of self-discovery, which is really interesting. And the other thing about the album that's interesting I want to talk about is that it's primarily contemporary pop. And I'm starting to go more country with my sound. And so it's really interesting finishing up the album while I was writing new music that's more country pop. And so it's interesting making that shift while still in the process of doing the album. And I think overall the album was a great learning experience because I've released several singles, but releasing an album is a completely different thing. I don't really know if I was completely prepared to do that, to be honest, but I feel like it was a great experience because now I know things that I would do differently next time, things that work, things that didn't. And so it was a great learning experience overall. And I still really love the album and I'm so happy it's out.
And one of those tracks on the album that you're going to sing for us today is called Will I Ever? And I thought that maybe, and another track called Find Love on
Right.
the album. And perhaps the version that was on the album of Will I Ever, because it was an acoustic version. I felt those both lent heavily towards the country music side of things. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And just a kind of interesting story about Find Love. So I wrote Find Love in the summer of 2019, and I didn't record it until the summer of 2020. And like at the beginning of 2020, that's when I really started to take a dive into country music because I had more time, like everybody had more time in lockdown. And I started to explore different sonic palettes and those kind of things. And I discovered country. So Find Love was originally poppy and I rewrote it. And so when I rewrote it, it came out more pop country. And so I think having that song on the album and then the acoustic version of Will I Ever as the last two tracks on the album, it kind of signals to the listener a little bit how there's going to be a transition. And so I think that's kind of interesting as well, the way I put them on the album.
Well, having not spoken to you since then, and the conversations we had, that's exactly my thoughts went. Oh, I wonder if this is an indication that she's pushing more that way. Let's have a listen now to Will I Ever?
Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love? 'Cause I've never, will I ever? A spark so bright, a kiss so sweet, the moment when two hearts find their special beat. Love at first sight sounds make-believe, for stories too good to be reality. Oh, I've got a big imagination, but I don't wanna only watch the movies playing in my head. Yeah, I've got a big imagination, but I ask myself one question over and over again. Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love, to fall in love? 'Cause I've never known how it feels to fall in love. No, I've never, will I ever? I fall for dreams, just butterflies, keep counting my clouds, but they don't match mine. Yeah, sometimes I think, why do I try? 'Cause these days true love is so hard to find. Oh, I've got a big imagination, but I don't wanna only watch the movies playing in my head. Yeah, I've got a big imagination, but I ask myself one question over and over again. Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love, to fall in love? 'Cause I've never known how it feels to fall in love. No, I've never, will I ever? No, I've never, will I ever? The loneliness is really starting to get to me. The hopelessness is really starting to cut so deep. Oh, will I ever know how it feels? Will I ever fall in love? Will I ever know how it feels? Will I ever? Will I ever fall in love? Will I ever know how it feels to fall in love, to fall in love? 'Cause I've
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Coming back to before we heard the track there, I sort of posed the question and you more or less answered, but when we spoke last year again, you were very much, you had two categories of music almost. You did pop music and you did country. And although your country has pop elements in it, you know, you saw them, I think, as two separate categories almost, and you know, you'd release a pop album, a pop single or a country single. Do you think that's changed now, and what's brought on that change?
You know, I definitely think it has changed, and I'm really glad you brought this up, because when I started exploring country, I didn't know the genre very well, and so I kind of saw it as something completely different than pop music. And nowadays, like, genres are blurring so much. And I think, you know, that's something I've noticed recently. And back to the podcast, another artist, Nikki Kennedy, and I had a conversation on there all about blending genres, which was really interesting. And so I feel like I'm starting to embrace that. And as an independent artist, I feel like I have the freedom to do that. I don't have anybody really controlling the music I'm creating and releasing. And I think now is the time to do that, because the way that the streaming platforms are categorizing music, it's less of genre and more of mood. And I think that's how we tend to listen. If we're sad, we want to listen to a certain kind of music. If we want to dance, we want to listen to a certain kind of music. And it's less about what the songs are categorized and more about how they make us feel. And so I'm trying to take that into my songwriting, and whatever I'm feeling, whatever song I want to write, and however I want to communicate that message, that's how I'm going to write it. I'm not necessarily going to say, this has to be more traditional country, or this has to be contemporary pop. And so I think because of that, moving forward, when I release, you know, EPs and another album down the road, I think you're going to see more of that blending. Maybe not as extreme. Like, I probably wouldn't put a super country song on an album that's very pop production with another song, but you know, I think Find Love and Will I Ever Acoustic fit well on this album, because there are various genres seen in the other songs as well. And so it doesn't seem like it's jumping out too much. And I think that's something I realized when I was creating the album, that it's okay to do that. And Will I Ever Acoustic and Find Love are some of my listeners' favorite songs, which is really interesting. And so I'm going to be more mindful of like what makes me feel good and what I want to write. And then however that song comes out and how it comes out. So yeah, definitely.
One of the things I noticed that you did in the year, I saw on your socials that you managed a trip to Nashville.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I did go to Nashville. That was magical. It was so much fun. I went in November for a songwriting retreat with Andrea Stolpe, who's a songwriter. And I've done some virtual things with her, but getting to go to Nashville for that was amazing. And I think, you know, that was my first trip to Nashville. So I went a weekend before the retreat to do all the touristy things. I got to go to the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum. I toured Studio B. I got to go to the Grand Ole Opry and I got a picture taken in the circle. I got to stand on the stage in the circle, which was really special. So it was really cool doing all that. And I actually went to the CMA Awards as well, which was really cool. Yeah. When I selected the week I wanted to go to Nashville for the retreat, I didn't even know the awards were going on at the same time. And so like a week before I went to Nashville, my dad and I went down, and he was like, wait, the CMA Awards are this week? And I was like, yeah, like I found that out a week ago. And then he was like, we're going. And like, as soon as we got to the hotel, he like called Bridgestone Arena and got tickets. So that was really cool, because I've never been to an award show before. And that was like my first concert since COVID too. And so just like getting to go there was the coolest thing. So yeah, Nashville was incredible.
Let's have another track from you now. You're releasing a cover of a Kelsea Ballerini song, aren't you? When's that being released, and tell us about which track it is?
So by the time this interview comes out, Homecoming Queen is the song. It will be out in January. It's releasing, and I am so excited that this song is out / going to be out because this is the song that made me fall in love with country music. And so as a songwriter, it felt so weird to me to like tell my producer I want to do a cover song because I'm always recording original music. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So it was really special for me to kind of take my own spin on the song. And one thing that I did that isn't in Kelsey's original version is I wrote a bridge for it. And anybody who knows me knows I love bridges. And so I looked at Homecoming Queen. I was like thinking in my head, Kelsey, I love you. This is a great song, but girl, it needs a bridge. And so I wrote my own bridge in my version. So if Kelsey hears it one day, I'll choice it. So it had the bridge. Also, my guitarist did this incredible guitar solo in it as well. So it sounds very different. It's more kind of lively. There's a lot more going on with percussion and drums and all that. A lot more like harmony, background vocal kind of things going on. It's different than Kelsey's. And I think that's the whole point. Like as an artist, if you're going to cover a song, you want it to be different than the original. And so that's what I did with this one. So I'm really excited for everybody to hear it.
Hey, homecoming queen, why do you lie when somebody's mean? Where do you hide? Do people assume you're always alright? Been so good at smiling most of your life. Look damn good in the dress, zipping up the mess, dancing with your best foot forward. Does it get hard to have to play the part? Nobody's feeling sorry for you. But what if I told you the world wouldn't end if you started showing what's under your skin? What if you let them all in on the lie? Even a homecoming queen cries. Oh yeah. Hey, homecoming queen, how's things at home? Still walking on eggshells when that curtain's closed. Does your daddy teach you how to act tough? Or more like your mama, sweeping under the rug? Look damn good in the dress, dipping up the mess, dancing with your best foot forward. Did you want the crown, or did they weigh you down? Nobody's feeling sorry for you. But what if I told you the world wouldn't end if you started showing what's under your skin? What if you let them all in on the lie? Even a homecoming queen cries. Kick off your stilettos, take off your crown. The diamonds and glitter won't always be around, but you don't need them. 'Cause even if your tears fall like crystals, your golden heart will shine forever. What if I told you the world wouldn't end if you started showing what's under your skin? What if you let them all in on the lie? Even a homecoming queen cries. What if I told you the sky wouldn't fall if you lost your composure and to hold it all? Not everything pretty sparkles and shines, and even a homecoming queen cries. Even a homecoming queen cries. Hey, homecoming queen, why do you lie when somebody's mean? Where do you hide?
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your trip to Nashville, and just the experience of being in Nashville. I know you went there for a retreat, but you said you did some of the touristy things, and did you hear much music there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually spent a whole afternoon just hanging out on Broadway.
Yeah.
And it was just like insane. Like every restaurant or bar, whatever that you went into, there were like bands playing, and it was just like the coolest thing. And then also when I was at the Country Music Hall of Fame, I went on the day when they have the songwriter session. So they have a songwriter come in and do a little session. They'll play their songs and talk to the audience. And I saw Jamie Floyd, which was really awesome. So yeah, I saw quite a bit of casually music, like casual, like just going to places. I wasn't able to go to any, other than the CMA Awards, go to any concerts because I was there for the weekend, and then the retreat was like all week. And so I feel like the first time I wanted to do all the first time Nashville kind of things, but now that that's done, next time I go back, I definitely want to go to like the Bluebird and the listening room, and go see like local songwriters and up and coming songwriters play, for some inspiration. But no, the whole experience was like the coolest thing. I've always wanted to go to Nashville. I've been to LA many times, but I haven't been to Nashville until my first time going. So it was the coolest thing, and I'll never forget it. I have some friends that I've done like Zoom co-writes with, or just like met through stations or interviews or whatever, who live in Nashville. And like when I got there, it didn't really cross my mind like that I have friends here. And right when I got there, like two of my friends texted me like, "We're going to get lunch, like, or let's meet at Starbucks. You're here. I can't believe you're here." And it was like the coolest thing, like meeting people in person after being friends for like a year or so. And also my guitarist, Luke, he lives in Pittsburgh, but he goes to school at Belmont. And so he was down there. So we went to dinner one night. So it was like really cool getting to like hang out with people too.
Yeah, that must have been a really great experience as well.
Yeah.
I was aware you did co-writes, and to think you've never met them face to face, that must have been really cool for you.
Yeah, it was for sure. And one big one that's jumping out at me was my friend Madison Young, who I wrote LA Will Wait For Me with. She was at the retreat. And like her and I, like we just started freaking out. Like we wrote this song, it did so well. We've been friends for like a year and a half, and now we're finally meeting in person. Like that was probably one of my favorites. Just getting to spend the whole week with her at the retreat and all that. So because
she wrote LA Will Wait, didn't she, with you?
Yeah, we wrote LA Will Wait For Me in August of 2020, and it released last March.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like over a year since we wrote the song. We finally met.
Crazy times we live in.
For sure.
Now I know you've got a new single coming out, which we'll talk about in a little while. Before we do that, what about the future now, the short term and long term? I mean, have you got? Are you still sort of locked down where you are? Are you getting out, and can you do gigs?
I'm actually like scared to go anywhere. Like I'm boosted. I got both Pfizers and I got the booster, but I'm just like, I'm so nervous to go. Like just for example, like at the beginning of this month, January, I just had a residency for graduate school. And they made it hybrid. So you could choose to do it on Zoom or go in person. I live 25 minutes away from the school. I didn't even have to travel. And I picked virtual. I'm just like so nervous to go anywhere, which is weird. Like when I went to Nashville, I took a major risk. But I think it was because I was just so desperate to like go somewhere that I was like, I'm going. But now I'm just like nervous. So I'm just gonna, I think, just chill at home for now. Hopefully, I'm really hoping by the summer, because I'm releasing, we're talking about the one I'm releasing in February soon, but I'm also releasing a single in March and May. So I'm releasing a lot of new music, and I would really love to go out and be able to play it, but I'm just scared.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I guess, it's going to take people generally a lot of time to get back to anything like normality, and it's different for everyone. You were due to graduate, weren't you? You were doing an English degree,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and writing a book as
Mhm.
part of that. What's the position on all that at the moment?
Yeah. So I graduate in June, hoping to graduate in person. So yeah, I graduate in June. My thesis novel, which is like the novel I started writing in the program, is done and revised, and I passed. So that's great. And actually, I'm doing something that is super rare in the program. I'm writing a second book. And because I pushed my graduation because of COVID, this term I will finish my second book. So I'm going to be like one of the only students to come through the program to finish 2 full books. So that's really exciting.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
And are they both going to be released?
I hope so. I'm going to start querying agents. So hopefully, but publishing is very slow. Like if you go traditional, you can get an agent. And because of how slow publishing is, it might not be released until 18 months or 2 years. So we'll see. I hope so. I would really love to share these books. So we'll see.
Be interested to see. Okay, so no, no public appearances really planned at the moment. What about online sessions?
Yeah, I've been doing co-writes, and with my singles coming up, I'm planning on doing lots of live streams. I like to do Instagram lives and Facebook lives, and anything else I can do virtually. I mean, I've been trying, especially since, this whole lockdown started and COVID and all that, I've been trying to take every opportunity I can. And so I feel like I'm going to continue that, especially with all the new music coming. Honestly, like without this and without Zoom, like we want to be chatting right now. Like I want to be releasing across the pond because, like I connected with the UK, like through social media and through like meeting people, doing interviews over there, virtually. And so literally across the pond came about because of that. And so like COVID is a terrible thing, but I think, we have to look at some of the silver linings, and getting to connect with people worldwide has definitely been one.
You've got this new single coming out. It's due in February. Has it got a release date yet?
Yeah, it's going to be released at the end of February, and it's called Across the Pond. And this is for all of my family across the pond.
Oh, that's really nice. I can guess from the title, but tell me what you were thinking when you wrote it.
So last April, I think it was, there was one night where I was just like, this is after I released Ellie Will Wait For Me, and the UK was like so supportive. That's the first time I really felt accepted in the music industry. And I was sitting like in my room. It was in April. And I just like legit started crying because I was like so happy like that everybody was supporting me. And I wasn't really getting support in the States, but I was like, I don't really care because literally everybody in the UK is supporting me. And it was just like it was such a special moment to like realize that. And so obviously, because I'm a songwriter and I was feeling emotional, I wrote a song. And so I kind of look at this song as a letter to the UK. Like when you hear the lyrics, it's conversational, and there's also like metaphors in there, obviously, to give it some complexity, but it literally feels like a letter. Like if I would sit down with pen and paper, this is what I would say. And so I feel like the hook is, I'm sending my love across the pond. And so it's like, I'm writing this down and putting this into song form to thank everybody for the support, because you'll hear in the bridge, like it's talking about how like, I won't forget, like no matter how successful I get, like I won't forget that the UK believed in me first. And so this song is just a huge thank you song to everybody over there. And I loved writing it. And, you know, when I started songwriting for fun or even like taking it more seriously in 2019, I never thought that I would ever write a thank you song to the UK. Like, that's something that's so specific that like it came about because of, the support. And that's really special that I was led to write this song. And so, yeah, I hope everybody loves it.
Okay, Demi, it's been really nice catching up with you and talking with you again.
Yeah.
And maybe one day that special relationship you've got with the UK will, maybe you'll come over and visit us in person, which would be the best thing.
I know. I want to go so bad. I definitely will one day. I'll be over there.
Okay. Well, look, take care of yourself. Thank you for your time today, and
of course,
good luck with both singles we've talked about today, and everything else you're doing this next year.
Thank you so much, Ron.
You're more than welcome. Bye now.
Bye.
Sometimes I wish you weren't 5 hours ahead of me, 'cause I wanna wake up under your majestic sun. I will always put on the crown that you gave me, 'cause it's enchanted by your heart of gold. I know you're thousands of miles away, but the bond we share is something that distance can never break. Thank you for the happiness you bring to me. I smile every dawn. Thank you for the confidence you give to me, 'cause now I belong. I hope that one day I can say this all to your face, but for now I'm pouring my heart out into this song and sending my love across the pond. When my stars fade out, I look up to find that my sky is rain and purple glitter, reminding me you're forever in my corner. Yeah, even though we're thousands of miles apart, the bond we share is something I've been grateful for from the start. Thank you for the happiness you bring to me. I smile every dawn. Thank you for the confidence you give to me, 'cause now I belong. I hope that one day I can say this all to your face, but for now I'm pouring my heart out into this song and sending my love across the pond. If one day I'm known all over the world, I promise I won't forget you took a chance on me first. If one day I'm known all over the world, I promise I won't forget you took a chance on me first. Thank you for the happiness you bring to me. I smile every dawn. Thank you for the confidence you give to me, 'cause now I belong. I hope that one day I can say this all to your face, but for now I'm pouring my heart out into this song. I treasure how you truly welcomed me with open arms. Yeah, I'm sending my love across the pond. I'm sending my love across the pond. I'm sending my love across the pond. Oh yeah, I'm sending my love across the pond. Sometimes I wish I wasn't 5 hours behind you. I hope I'm with you soon.